Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Up the Guts podcast. Joining you as always is your host, Tricky. My co-hosts, both of them are here this week. Got Holty and Connor. How are we, boys?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, good. I thought I'd just rock up this week.
Oh, that could change.
As the talent, you get to pick and choose when you come, I've been told.
Yeah, righto, mate. And we're actually joined by a special guest this week too. From SportsGrad, we are joined by Reuben Williams. How are you, Reuben? Thank you for coming.
G'day, Trent, Connor, Tristan. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And obviously you dropped your episode as well this morning, I saw. How's your podcast been going in SportsGrad?
Yeah, it's going good. Thank you. This morning we had Bianca Litchfield go out. She is a performance analyst for the Collingwood Football Club Super Netball team and AFLW team.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just an incredible young female in the sports industry who's dominating a space that's, typically filled by males in that role. So she's doing a terrific job there and it's great inspiration for a lot of people. But we're up to, I think, episode 230 odd now, and we've just kind of changed the format a little bit this year because, as you start to go on, as I'm sure you guys would know, you test and learn, you see what works, what doesn't work, and so we've made a few changes this year to try and increase the quality of the pods, and so far they've been really good. We measure our podcasts. We measure the success of the podcast by downloads in the first 7 days of the episode being released, and we've done 230 episodes. The 3 that we've put out this year have all hit the top 10 of the first 7 days in terms of most downloads. So we hope the changes have been worthwhile.
Now, have you always been obsessed with sport? What was your childhood like playing? Did you play everything, or what was your go-to sports?
Yeah, I've always been sports mad. Growing up, played a lot of cricket, played a lot of soccer. It wasn't until I got to first year uni that I started playing Aussie rules football. But tried a few tennis lessons, golf lessons, even played lacrosse for a couple of seasons as well. So yeah, tried just about every sport under the sun. I think the sport that I didn't love so much was basketball. I think I lasted about 2 terms in grade 3 and then thought this is not for me. So
I don't get the craze of basketball.
I don't get it either. Not at all.
Lacrosse though, that shit's hectic.
That's a very good
seen
sport.
Lacrosse, that stuff goes off.
You need a real talent to play lacrosse.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
I must
you go.
I must say I stopped playing before under 15s because that's when you need full helmet, shoulder pads, arm guards, the lot, because it's just by that point, it's just man-child just running around with a stick trying to whack you. And I was a very small kid, so I didn't stand a chance.
Now, you went to uni, first of all, as in a marketing degree, but you decided to drop that to pursue sport. What was your motivation in that?
I was failing. I wasn't really interested in the degree.
We've all had that.
Yeah. It's a common rite of passage, I think, for most people. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Yeah, so I didn't really know what I wanted to do coming out of high school. So I thought marketing seems pretty broad. I actually wanted to do a sport management degree, but thought, no, it's too niche. Sport's too competitive. Let's go with the safe option and do a broad business marketing degree. And then once I got into that, wasn't really terribly interested in what I was learning. And so therefore I did badly at it. And literally got 50 out of 100 for 2 subjects, and I'm pretty sure I failed them, but they just wanted to push me through the subjects to get me through. So my motivation for leaving that was I just was not interested to the point where I was failing. So after a year and a half, I had to think about what do I want to do, and went back to what 16-year-old Reuben, who first walked into the Careers Council's office at high school, wanted to do, and that was sport management and exercise science. So originally I thought I wanted to work in the exercise science side of the coin and help people improve their performance. But as I went through the degree, I felt I came to understand that I was more suited to the management side of things. And that's where a lot of my experience started to be directed after that.
Now, after uni, I believe it was the first week after your final exam, you accepted a full-time job at Cricket Australia. How was that? And how was the process of applying for that and all that type of stuff?
Well, it would be very interesting at this time.
Yeah, so that was October 2017 was when I got that job. And that was the greatest relief of my life to date, or at that point in time. Because after dropping out of the marketing degree, even when my parents were saying, "What are you doing with your life? Why are you quitting uni? Are you sure about this new direction you want to take?" That, coupled with not wanting to fail another degree, really drove me to do everything in my power to make sure that this second attempt at a career worked. I kind of went into this degree saying to myself, you have to make this work. Like, there's no other choice. And because I had that extra drive and motivation, I kind of forced myself to get out there and network and meet people in the industry and find out what jobs you could do. And so then the experiences started to come with it. I remember I got this opportunity to do an internship with Australian University Sport. And I couldn't believe the luck that I had. They sent me to a conference in France where I was a student delegate for Australia. And I was in this room with all these different delegates from right around the world. And I was chatting with a few of them afterwards, and they asked everybody, how did you come to get selected for this conference? And it got to the people from the USA, and they were talking about all the different interviews and essays and tests that they had to go through to get picked. And they got to me, and I was like, pretty sure they just forgot to advertise the job. I just sent my resume off, and they said, "You come to France with us." And I was like, this has got to be a joke, surely. But that kind of like gave me a benchmark to work towards, because I'd met the best of the students right around the world and could see all the extracurricular activities that they were doing at their university or in their sporting clubs or at other places too. I could start to see where there were gaps in my resume. And so I remember I was sitting in the airport getting ready to fly back home when I messaged the Deakin University Sports Society and said, "Hey, can I join the committee?" And jumped on the committee for the second half of that year. At the end of that year, everyone either graduated or said they'd had enough. And so it was up to me and my mate Paul to be president. And we're the only two people left in the committee. And Paul was like, "Oh, well, I've got a few other commitments, so I probably can't take on this as well." So I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm the only one left. I'll be president." And that ended up being the most influential piece of experience on my resume when I got to Cricket Australia. Because when I got to Cricket Australia, they asked me, "Reuben, what experience are you most proud about?" And at this point, the drive and the motivation to, to not be a failure in the eyes of my parents had driven me to like pick up 8 different volunteer opportunities and internships. And this opportunity to run the Deakin University Sports Society that nobody else wanted to do ended up being my most proud experience, because we had free reign to start fresh. So we rewrote the strategy at the start of the year. We redesigned the events. And in 1 year, we increased the membership from 125 up to 213, which is an increase of 71% in 1 year. Yeah. And in the couple of years prior to that, it had dropped from 180 to 150 down to 125. And so being able to say to Cricket Australia, I'm really proud of the impact that we've been able to have on the lives and careers of our peers. And here's some of the results to go with it. That's ultimately what helped me get the job at Cricket Australia.
Very good.
So what kind of stuff were you doing for Cricket Australia once you got on?
Yeah, so my first role was digital commercial assistant and then moved into specialist. But essentially, I was looking after the digital campaigns of the sponsors of cricket. So if Qantas wanted to run an advertising campaign across cricket.com.au or the Cricket Australia Live app, that would come through me. I would then report back on, how many people have seen the Qantas ads on the app or how many people have clicked on it, all that sort of stuff. So it was a lot of digital account management for Cricket Australia's sponsors.
Beautiful.
And what type of people did you get to meet during that time? Obviously, a lot of people at Cricket Australia. Was there a couple of people that stick out to you?
Oh, I remember that I met Glenn McGrath. That was pretty surreal. He was one of my favorite players growing up. And I remember it was my first Boxing Day test match, and Pat Horan, who went on to be the head of digital at Cricket Australia, he took me around and said, "Hey, do you want to come up to the media box?" And so we go up to the media box at the MCG, and you've got Channel 9, I think, still had the rights at the time. You've got Triple M, and you've got then out the back of all the media boxes where they do the commentating, there's like this communal area where there's food, drinks, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just hanging around there. And Pat said to me, just wait here. I'm going to go grab Glenn because we've got to go down to the ground and do the post-day wrap-up, which was done by Optus Sport at the time. And Glenn McGrath was one of the main hosts of that. So Pat goes and grabs Glenn McGrath from like the ABC commentary box, pulls him out. There's a couple other people. They're all introducing themselves to me. And then Glenn comes up to me and says, "G'day, I'm Glenn." I was like, "G'day, I'm Reuben." I know who you are. And we went down underneath the ground and then up onto the field. And I got to watch Glenn McGrath interview Nathan Lyon after he'd taken a few wickets that day on the ground of the MCG, which was pretty surreal.
Yeah, sounds good.
Now, in 2020, when COVID's starting to hit, what was it like to hear that you could be in the chance of being stood down as 80% of the staff were being stood down? Like, was it?
How do you
shot to
reckon
the
he
heart?
felt?
No, but like,
Seriously.
what did you pursue after that? Like, what was going through your mind? Like, did you have a plan B?
Yeah, I remember I was very naive to the effects of COVID when they first hit, because as like when it first hit, I remember Cricket Australia said, "You're all going to have 2 weeks off." And I was like, "You beauty, like how good is this? This is like the greatest
Travel
godsend ever. A couple of extra weeks of holidays. How good." And then I realized, oh, actually this could be quite bad. And I kind of thought, well, the cricket season's done, therefore cricket won't be too badly impacted.
Mm-hmm.
So we came back to work for a couple of weeks, and then they said, actually, we've got to stand down 80% of the organization. And that's when I was like, okay, we're not exempt from this. We're very much a part of it. And but in the back of my mind, I was nervous because I had this idea for this YouTube channel called SportsGrad. And at the time, SportsGrad had been this neglected YouTube channel that had been going for 3 years at this point in time. So back when I was a student trying to figure out how to get a job in sport, I would go out and ask people in the industry, how do you get your job? And eventually I realized that nobody else was asking these questions. So I would chuck the videos, I would go and record it, chuck them on YouTube so that then my friends could get the same insights as me. And over those 3 years, it grew to about 30 subscribers. So nobody was watching it. But every now and again, someone would send me a nice message and say, "Oh, I really enjoyed this interview with such and such." So I was like, okay, guess I better do another one. So when this opportunity came up, or when we got stood down for 9.5 weeks, I was like tossing and turning about how to spend my time.
Mm-hmm.
Do I go all in on trying to relaunch SportsGrad, or B, do I just try and recoup my lost income, find some casual work, and just get through the period without too much financial loss? But what it came down to was I quickly realized that I'll probably never have another period in my life where I get a period of time, 2 and a bit months, to just focus on one thing without any sort of obligation to anything else. And so I thought, if I don't use this wisely, then I'll probably regret it for the rest of my life. So that feeling of regret kind of drove me to pursue SportsGrad. And so the other thing I wasn't very good at was not getting distracted. And at the time I was living in a share house with 2 mates with 2 dogs. And to try and go all in on SportsGrad, I removed myself from the share house, got someone else to start renting my room, so I could then rent a studio apartment down in Lawn by the beach and just lock myself in.
Yep.
And for the next 9.5 weeks, I started building SportsGrad. I went right back to what's the problem I'm trying to solve, who am I trying to solve it for, and then what sort of things can I do to help solve these problems. And so originally it began with a career coaching service, which I would run small workshops for. And then it became this podcast. And I was thinking about how can the podcast be better? And early on, it was very lonely work. And so I thought, well, what if I got my mate Ryan involved? Now, Ryan and I met each other at Cricket Australia. We sat next to each other for 6 months when we were both working in the commercial team. and he was an obvious person to try and pull into the podcast. So I called him up one night and said, "Hey, do you want to do this podcast with me?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, why not? Let's give it a go." So I said to him, let's just try it out for 3 months. And at the end of 3 months, if it's no good, we can stop right there and go back and do something else. And so for the last half of our stand down period, we were jumping on Zooms every single day, chatting to each other, workshopping what the format of this podcast would be like, what questions we would ask, who we would talk to. And we were getting ready to launch the first episode. And as we were getting ready to launch the first episode, we're about a week out from it. And in the news, word that Cricket Australia is going to be making redundancies starts to, become quite prominent each and every day. And I then got a call from my executive general manager, Steph, and she said, "Reuben, unfortunately, your role has been made redundant." And I was like, "Steph, this is really bad timing because I'm about to start a podcast about how to get jobs in sport. Now I've just lost all my credibility." But I think as ironic as it was, we pressed on the next week, launched the podcast anyway. And a couple of days after that, we were number one on the careers charts in Australia, which is a really weird feeling. Like if you kick a goal in footy, you've got a stadium of people around you celebrating. But when you hit number one on the charts on a podcast during lockdown, it's just you in your room by yourself, kind of patting yourself on the back. You're like, I think I've done something right here, but I don't really know. There's a little thing on a screen saying you've done okay, but I can't feel it.
It's the
so
best support.
yeah, it was a weird time.
Now to continue building from that, how did you and Ryan continue to build and find more guests? And was the process that you started with the same that continues to this day? Or did you find obstacles in the way, that type of stuff?
Yeah, so the biggest obstacle when we started out was being on different schedules, because I lost my job and Ryan didn't. So Ryan was still working full-time at Cricket Australia whilst I was effectively full-time in SportsGrad, except I wasn't getting paid anything. And so that was the biggest obstacle, like trying to manage our time and, work around other commitments. But that became a lot easier down the track when we got to the point where Ryan could quit his job and jump in full-time into SportsGrad. And now it's just, when you got two people in alignment going in the same direction, you can move a lot faster. But in terms of like, how do we grow the podcast? Well, we just tried to cover off on interviews with people in the sports industry across every corner that we could. And so that started by interviewing our friends, and then we would see who else was interesting out in the internet. And then we would get referrals from those people to more people. And after a while, we ended up with, interviews with people in the NFL, the NBA, EPL clubs, Cricket Australia, the AFL, NRL, most of the major sports you can think of, we've talked to somebody. So, over time, just started to grow. And the other thing that we were doing too was we had two types of episodes. We had an interview episode, and then we had a short form episode on Thursday. What we've done now is we've doubled down on the interview episode, moved it to a Monday when we know people like listening to podcasts. And then the information that we were delivering in the bite-sized episodes, rather than try and come up with, tips and tricks that we think people want to hear, we created a segment called Ask SportsGrad, where people can tell us what their actual problems are, and then we can kind of work backwards from there and solve them on the show. And we do that more extensively in our community each Wednesday night as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about how it's kind of grown and changed over the last couple of years.
Now into like the industry meetups, how much goes into planning all that type of stuff? Yeah,
heaps. It started off pretty casually. Like I remember the first one in February 2021. It was like 38 degrees at 7 p.m. and everyone was just sweating bullets up on the rooftop of the Richmond Club Hotel. And for that one, we just kind of threw it open, just said, "Hey guys, we'll meet you at the pub. Like whoever wants to come along, come." And we had about 100 people turn up to our first one, which we were blown away by. And as time's gone by, we've kind of made it more sophisticated, added speakers, added food and drink, ticketed it, and they've started to become a really, really positive event that people begin to look forward to. So as they have evolved, it has required more time and energy to get each and everyone up. But every single time we leave with a great feeling of hearing the stories of someone who's just arrived, who's just gone to their first ever networking event, or someone who's met a connection in the sports industry for the first time, who they might have never met before. And the reason why we're running these events is because when we were students, there were no easy options to meet people in sport. Like you either had to reach out cold on LinkedIn and hope you got a response, or occasionally, university would do it, but they're always a bit cheesy. And so we wanted to create something that was really comfortable, that was easy for people to turn up to, but would give them the opportunity to create these, really required connections that you have to make it in sport. So I remember we had one in November 2022 when I met a guy called Corey in the line. And I just asked him, "How are you?" And he said, "I'd be lying if I said I wasn't shitting myself." I was like, "Okay, I understand." So it's for those kinds of people who are really pushing themselves to get ahead with their career that we're trying to help.
Yeah, definitely. And I saw, obviously, because we went to a SportsGrad event, and I saw you advocaatly posting about how you went to the World Cup. How was that experience? I saw you had signs every time.
Looked like it was very, very, very enjoyable.
What was the message and the meaning behind making the signs? Was it just for a bit of fun, or did you want it to SportsGrad to be noticed as well?
Well, the night that we qualified for the round of 16 was undoubtedly the greatest night of my life. We went back to the Australian bar and were welcomed by just a sea of yellow shirts, throwing beer all over each other, singing Men at Work, singing John Farnham, singing Jimmy Barnes, like you name it. It was just like peak Australia at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. So it was incredible. Like it was absolutely phenomenal. The sign idea, I don't know where that came from. I think my mate Scott and I just thought it'd be fun to take stupid signs to each and every game and see what we could come up with. And then one of them got noticed. I remember because like at all the games, you would see the same Australians every single match because your seats are kind of similar each game.
Yep.
And I remember one of the games we took signs and the people behind us were like, "Oh, can you put it away? Like, we can't see the game." Like, okay, sorry. All right. People hate our signs. We'll keep it to a minimum.
Keep it going.
Well, then I wrote on one of the signs, "Give us a public holiday." And when Australia qualified after beating Denmark, I held that up and the world feed cuts to this image of an Australian holding up a sign saying, "Give us a public holiday." And somehow I got broadcast right around the world. So I had people in the UK, in the US, and in Australia messaging me saying, "What the hell are you doing on my TV right now?" Then
Marketing.
I think it got made into a meme at some point by PointsBet, and forced a response out of Anthony Albanese. He came back on Twitter and said, "If we get to the final and win that, then we'll consider a public holiday." So just trying to push my agenda upon Australian politics.
It's good. I enjoyed it.
It's very good.
And now, do you know Mr. Scott he's friends with?
I have I do have some sort of relative side with Scott. He might be my cousin.
Oh, you know him? Is he really?
Yes, he is.
There you go. Small world. You
yes.
should get him on.
Oh, I have tried. He's very busy at the moment, as he said twice each time I've texted him. And I realised having a little bit of a stalk through the Reuben's Instagram, and I realised, shit, I know that person. That's my cousin. I loved it.
We know the other person that we met in Qatar. I don't know if any of you watched Survivor, but we met King George from Western Sydney.
Saw that
over in Qatar.
Have you been watching the new Survivor season?
Yes,
No, I haven't.
It's so good.
It's good.
And now you also just did an industry meetup.
It's outstanding.
Yeah.
And so one night on one of the nights, Scott and I tried to make an effort to go and hang out at the bars where each country had taken over a specific bar.
Yeah.
So we'd go to the Australian bar, then we go to the Brazilian bar and, sing salsa with all the Brazilians. And we go to the English bar and sing all their anthems with the English people. And when we walked into the English bar, it was just a sea of England flags and then one guy in a Socceroos shirt in the corner. And so we start chatting with him and he said, "G'day, my name's George. I'm from Western Sydney." And we're like, "Okay, cool." And so we hung out with him that night. And then because Qatar's a small place, there's only 8,000 Australians in Qatar. The next day we saw him at the Australian bar and then we saw him at the game the next day. So we're hanging out with this guy for like 3 days. And then I turn on the TV to watch Survivor. And I don't watch a lot of TV. I haven't seen any full season of Survivor in the past.
Yeah.
But my girlfriend's got me into this season. So I turn it on and there's George on the TV. And I'm like, I met that bar in Qatar. He didn't tell me I was on Survivor. But he was saying all these odd. Yeah. He's doing great. He's got me hooked now.
Yeah.
But he kept saying like, if Australia win, I'm cancelling my trips to LA. I got invited to these parties over there, but I'm going to stick around for the finals. I was like, okay, cool. Who is this guy? But sure thing.
I'd like to ask how you met Scott, because Scott shares with us in the Walton family that he did a few stints with Channel 9, used to be in the Sunday AFL footy show, used to know all them, and did a lot of camera work and all digital work with them. How'd you meet him, Reuben?
Grassroots cricket. So the mighty Wycliffe Cricket Club is where we both play cricket.
Oh, lovely.
And he's good mates with a lot of people from my high school a couple of years above me.
Yep.
So that's how he got down to the club.
Oh, no.
And then we met through the cricket club.
Oh, very good.
Is he as handy as Holty at the cricket?
He's probably, if not better, he's a better batsman, I've heard, Scott, and half decent full forward as well. I think he kicked 10 one time, and I was there to watch that. It was very good fun.
Yeah, he kicked 10 in the thirds and then made a TikTok that went off, I believe.
Yes, that's true.
Now, you said you went around to the bars like of the different countries and tried to take over. Which one was the most fun or the most welcoming from them countries?
Probably the Brazilian one.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because and you really got to like understand the differences between culture when you go from England, who take a lot of pride in their anthems, and then you go to the Brazilian bar and they they got a 10-piece band with everyone playing every different kind of instrument, everyone's singing along, everyone's dancing, no one's really shouting, they're all just kind of like really taking care with the way that they sing their songs. And then you get to an Australian bar and everyone's just like shouting and throwing crap at each other. Like it's just mental. So, yeah. But the Brazilian bar was probably our favorite. Funnily enough, Scott and I were dressed up in our AFL kits that night. So I was decked out in full Hawthorn kit. Scott was decked out in full Geelong kit. And everyone else around us was decked out in Brazilian kit. So if you were a random Australian who just happened to walk into that bar, it would have been an odd sight seeing a couple of AFL fans amongst the Brazilians.
Oh, and you've recently just got back from India doing an industry meetup. You went over to India. What was that like, and the different living over there?
Yeah, so on the first day that I arrived in India, I got to my friend's house in Southern Kerala for his wedding, which I was told was going to last 6 days. And as soon as I met the family, his sister said to me, "Reuben, tomorrow is the first function. It's the engagement party. It's one of the most important functions. We, as an immediate family, are going to be doing a choreographed dance on stage for 2 minutes. And because you're staying in our house, you're now part of the immediate family. So you've got this afternoon to practice. Here's what you're going to be wearing. And then tomorrow you're on stage and you're doing the dance. So get ready for that." And I was like, okay, well, thank goodness I don't know anybody at this wedding, and I'll just go with the flow.
No good at the dancing, are you?
Do you remember the dance, and can you give us a little bit?
Oh, what was it? There was just like a lot of this, I remember. Like, So, yeah, there were 2 dances actually. By the end of it, I started to loosen up a bit. But on the first day, I was like, what have I got myself into? But the craziness just did not stop for the 3 weeks that I was in India. Like that week of the wedding was mental. By the time I got to Mumbai, I think there's 25 million people living in Mumbai. So like, size of Australia in one city. And at first I got into a cab and it was just sensory overload everywhere you looked. And I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. But after 7 days, it becomes quite taxing, just like getting no relief from anything in the outside world. But I had a wonderful time. I was very well looked after by 3 universities over there. So I did a whole bunch of presentations and ran a couple of meetups that brought a few people together. We had one guy called Raj actually, who I think became the first person to attend meetups in multiple countries. So he's an Indian bloke who lives in Mumbai, but usually studies in Australia. So he's been to a whole bunch of our Melbourne meetups and got along to our Mumbai one too. So it was just really cool kind of seeing some people from Melbourne over in Mumbai too, who just happened to be there at the same time. Another great thing that happened on the first day I arrived in Mumbai was I had a SportsGrad member in our community offer to pick me up from the airport and take me out for dinner. And I was chatting with him and learning all about what it's like living in India. And it was just such a great reminder of what we're trying to build, because we're trying to build this super connected sports industry right around the world, so that no matter where you go, whether you're looking for someone to watch sport with, or whether you're looking to have dinner with someone new, or you need help finding a job and getting set up in a new location, the community can provide you access to someone in that area that can help you in no matter way you want. So to traveling to India and getting looked after by a lot of different people was a great reminder of what we're trying to create.
Now, next year in 2024, you've also got an industry meetup planned in Paris. How did that come about, and what can we expect there in Paris?
Yeah, so that came about, I think a year and a half ago. We kind of put that out there to the world. And at the time, I think the Olympics in Tokyo were probably going on.
Oh yeah.
And we thought, let's give some people something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I 3 or 4 years before Tokyo, I was really keen to get to Tokyo and do something there. Couldn't happen. So Paris became the next best thing.
Yep.
So we thought, everyone's in lockdown at the moment. Let's put a meetup over in Paris to give them something to look forward to. We'll get over there. We'll start to try and build a community in different pockets around the world. Hopefully this is a great occasion that everyone wants to come to, and we can give them an opportunity to meet fellow SportsGrad people at the same time. So yeah, that'll be awesome.
And can just put it out there for our listeners. What is the dates for that, and where can we expect it to be happening, and how do we get the information for all that?
I love how you said we. What are we going to expect in Paris? Are we going to go to Paris, Tricky?
Are you paying for us?
Are we?
Yeah, you're all coming.
Yeah.
Who's paying?
Yeah, in order to do this podcast, Trent told me that you're all coming to Paris. So I'll see you there.
Trent's paying for us.
Oh, wow.
Kind of
This is
Great. Free holiday.
No, but where can we find all this information?
Yeah, so on our website, sportsgrad.com.au/Paris, I believe, there's a little link where you can sign up to register for information. So the Olympics is happening on the 25th of July, 2024. So we're still yet to lock in exactly what date, but it'll be in the week before the opening ceremony.
Fantastic.
Now, I believe you guys did want to talk a bit of cricket.
Oh, do we ever?
Oh, yes, that we do. You go
They're
first.
big cricket. We're big cricket people, and I think knowing your background, Cricket Australia, they want to get your thoughts on cricket just in general.
You go first.
Do you want me to go?
You go.
How hard can I go?
Oh, that's up to Reuben.
No, seriously. The last test, that was disgusting.
I got
2 days.
2 days.
Okay, 2 days in like half a session. That is not test cricket. This is crap.
But that's what it is nowadays,
No, it's
mate.
terrible.
It's docking the pitch, and it's you care about the spinners now more than the
Oh.
pace. Oh,
What you see, mate? You open the bowling.
Heavy.
You open the bowling of the spinners now, and test cricket.
she'll get Stephen O'Keefe over there.
Oh.
Ashton Agar might actually turn
No,
one.
No, no.
Ashton Agar would still not turn it on one of those things.
Oh god.
Seriously though, 2 days of Test cricket, and you had like one of the greatest tests, like what 2 days before it happened, and then you dish up that shit.
Next door to us.
Oh, that was disgusting.
That was the definition of Test cricket.
that was good.
That was
Did
very.
you
good
watch that,
cricket.
Reuben?
New Zealand, England.
Yeah, I did. I just couldn't believe how unashamedly the Indians were talking about their pitch doctoring.
Mm-hmm.
They're literally saying, "Oh, we might even change the pitch to a green top in the fourth test to get ready for the World Test Championship." So I was like, "You guys are even trying to hide this? Like, come on!"
Unbelievable.
I reckon next time they come over, we just absolutely give them an absolute flat, quick wicket and just see how they go with it.
Oh, just take a section of the East Link and just put it on the MCG.
Have a crack at this one.
Or
Did you like
just play a junction. Either works.
Junction?
No, Junction was an absolute rager the other week.
Oh, it was.
It was turning left, right, and center.
Because I know
Travis
you're
Head-
a big Travis Head critic when it comes at sometimes.
Travis, I don't mind Travis Head at the top of the order, but I still think he's terrible in the subcontinent, and that's been shown.
True.
So come to the Ashes. Who's your? I'm going to say who's your. I don't think you'd open.
He just boosted 50 to win us the game.
I could do that just swinging from Mars too.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
So, Reuben, if you don't know this, the man onto the far, or probably the far right of screen for you, far left to us, he made 100 probably about, what was it, 3-4 odd week ago?
4 weeks,
4
3 games ago.
Three games ago. And what did you make it off?
Very good.
No, it would have been like 15 overs. Probably, I reckon it would have been 50 balls at least.
50 balls. Oh,
and that's giving some balls.
And
for
we
that.
haven't heard the end of it.
Oh, well, I haven't been on to speak about it. You guys can give me enough airtime when I wasn't here.
Well, the first message we got from you this week is like, well, I've finally been dismissed.
Yeah, well, I've gone 196 without being dismissed. And I got
that's fair enough.
3 times.
Connor, what was your favourite shot of the innings?
I'm a big favourite of just smacking a bowler straight back over his head.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
always
good
try
call.
and do that.
Nice.
Or you like going over cover.
Beautiful.
Going
Love
over
it.
cover.
Now, obviously, Ashes coming up.
Nice.
Do you think the squad will stay the same? Is what I was going to say. And they'll probably play Warner, but do you see him playing it?
I think he's done now.
Who
Finished.
comes? I don't know if they'll open with Head.
That'll be Bancroft.
You reckon?
Hmm.
It will be Bancroft.
Nah, yuck.
He's dominated the Shield.
Oh, actually, you know what? No, that might be a good decision.
And he-
Defend off Stuart Broad, yeah. Good decision.
I'm pretty sure he just got back from England and he dominated over there too.
Yeah.
So I reckon he'll be taking David Warner's.
And I heard someone say, I think Crash Craddock was saying today, he had a discussion with someone at his work, and apparently the Duke ball stops swinging after about 30 overs. So they're saying if you keep Head down in the lower order, he could come in and just take to the bowlers.
It is a different type of leather, I've heard, the Duke ball.
The Duke ball.
Yep.
Yeah, it fades pretty quickly, but Australian top order can't handle 30 overs over there sometimes.
Let's ask the professional here, Mr. Reuben. Do you reckon the squad will change for the Ashes coming up this year?
Well, I don't know that we'll play 3 spinners in England. So
I mean, that's a good call. That's a good call.
from India to England, I think it'll change. But from Australia to England, I'm not sure how much change will happen. Warner's probably the big question mark.
Yeah.
Has he done enough to let him go out in his own terms, or do you bring in someone else who is actually dominating Shield? But even like when Warner was under the pump earlier this season, he showed that he can just pull out 100. So it's hard to tell with those old players. I think Ricky Ponting was saying something similar when he went out. His career started getting away from him. He thought he could still do it. Occasionally put out 100, but then would go back to making 10s and 20s or whatever.
Yep.
So it is really hard, particularly when someone's played over 100 tests and made 8,000, 9,000 plus runs or whatever Warner's done.
He does have the runs to
So
kind of call it himself, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a really difficult one. I don't envy the selectors, but I am a big one for I love the greats of the game. So I like seeing them go out on their own terms. I don't like seeing them, fall flat on their stomach like Ricky Ponting did when he got bowled by a Yorker all those years ago. So I would love to see Warner have a better end to his career than perhaps what might be coming.
I do agree with that too.
And it was good to see Usman Khawaja back in opening the batting, because originally wasn't he the person that was supposed to come in and take Ricky Ponting's spot at 3 when he was very young, I'm pretty sure.
But they didn't like how he fielded.
Yeah, because I knew
work ethic.
Yeah, I knew he was
big man to move.
Was he?
He's a big man.
He is.
Now you did mention I think you said you're a Hawthorn supporter.
Yep.
How do you think your Hawthorn's going to go this year? Obviously, gone with a very young list. I'm not going to lie. I've predicted them for the spoon.
It was a great practice game down at the Cattery.
I've predicted them for a spoon. But how do you personally think?
Yeah, we did a little better against Collingwood. I'm excited for this season because we're at a stage, or I'm at a stage of supportership that I've never been at before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very arrogant thing to say as a Hawthorn supporter. But this year, we're not going to be cheering the wins and losses. We're going to be cheering, small developments in players.
Yeah.
Which is something that, has never been the only thing we've had to cheer for, at least while I've, can remember footy. And so I've got no expectations on, where we finish on the ladder, but I don't really care if we get, trounced every single game. I think it'll just be nice being able to follow some young players right from the start of their career, and hopefully in 4 or 5 years' time, really see them start to develop and start to see some success. And I think that's when, it'll be quite rewarding to follow their journey and see where they get to. Which is probably how a lot of Hawthorn supporters felt when, when Raffed and Franklin were coming through right in there around that 2004 era when we were down the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah,
we're kind of back there again. So it's, I'm not expecting too much, but it will be nice just to kind of follow individuals rather than wins and losses.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you there, Reuben, because I've been doing that for 22 years. It's not as good as you sound. It sounds good old.
I have a lot of faith in Sam Mitchell.
I
like him a lot.
I think you guys did the right thing. I think what you guys did, you got rid of the mid-tier and the good players, and now you're in a full rebuild. I think that's what the Hawthorn Football Club needed.
That's all part of it.
And you got John Newcombe, who's a star.
Mm.
Yeah, he's not bad.
And then Mitch, of course, when he gets up and when he's not injured.
He's injured a lot, though.
Yeah, he is. But just quietly,
Yeah, he was good.
You're a big advocate of Goulden, I know.
Yeah, but it's a practice match.
It is a practice match.
We don't talk too much into it.
It is a practice match, but still 3:45.
Yeah, it's a practice match. They're traffic cones. Practice matches at AFL level is just bruise-free footy at its finest. Have you watched some of those games?
Yeah, some of them are not good. Mind you, whole team claims we nearly beat the record again after playing 7 quarters.
He loves practice.
We nearly beat the highest score.
So what do we love practice matches? We nearly claimed the record again.
What, for the highest score in 7 quarters you played though?
Yeah, it was good. It's great to watch. It was just goal after goal. It was just winning one side of the ping pong tables. Fantastic.
Is there anything else that you guys wanted to touch on with Reuben, or did you have a blow up?
No, I didn't. I was a very happy man this week. We made finals in.
How'd you go? How'd you go in cricket?
Bowled 19 overs, one for 43, and got dropped 4 times. And I told the bloke after the game, I better not see you in the 11 next week.
Was that a few cans deep though?
That was a few
cans deep. After that video you sent us, I was like, oh, geez, Holty's in some form here.
Mm-hmm.
You were at Ramley, weren't you?
I was, yeah. Well, thank God our ground near Five Ways got demolished, and that was a very comfortable, nice home country ground, and it's going to get built into a 3-ground netball, tennis,
super complex.
Yeah, complex. And just won't feel the same, mate.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we made finals, our 2s and 3rds, and see how we go from there.
Very nice.
Where will you be playing, the 2s or 3rds?
I'll be playing in either because they are looking for an opening bowler.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
How was the body feeling after 19 overs?
Believe me, I can't feel the legs. Right shoulder's intact though, so I'm very happy with that.
What about the back? That's normally
Yep.
Back's fine.
Back's fine.
Back is fine.
Off the
Yeah.
run up this week?
I,
Or short run up like you did in the family day or the
It's
exhibition
been
match?
short run up since that.
Oh, how many steps is that now?
8.
Because what was it? It was like 18, wasn't it?
It was 21.
That's ridiculous.
And
Who
mind
do you
you,
think you are, Brett Lee?
why go off an odd number?
the short run up is seriously underrated, particularly if you want to bowl
yes.
19 overs. Like try doing that off 21 steps. Like you there's no longevity.
No.
Like I used to come off 22 or something, and it would just ruin me. So like for the last 3 or 4 years, I haven't bowled, and then have filtered into a few trainings this year, just coming off 13 steps, and found that I'm actually a lot steadier and a lot more consistent off the shorter run up.
It's slow.
So I played my second game for the year on Saturday, and got asked to open the bowling, which I haven't done for about 10 years, I reckon.
Oh, wow.
And
Hello.
and I came back for my second spell, and it started raining, and I came in and bowled my first ball. My front foot slipped, so now my like 13 step run up got cut in half again to about 4 steps. So I was like doing a couple of skips and bowling, and then I could keep going. So I ended up bowling 22 overs, which I've never come close to in my life before. So just a little shimmy and then let go of it is all you need.
How'd you go, Connor? Did you take the ball at all?
I did have a bowl.
Offies or mediums?
Wow.
I did 3 balls of off spin, 3 balls of medium.
Andrew Simons, they call you.
Yeah, that's what I call myself.
What about the bat? How'd you go?
I got 30 off about 18 balls, I reckon. I don't think about it.
How'd you get off the mark?
6 over the bowler's head.
Oh, my.
Second over.
And proceed. And you got called a hack.
To you?
And you got called a hack
And
after.
I got called hacked by their captain for hitting the ball straight over his head.
And then over
6,
cover.
and then
Hack
over
again.
cover, hack. Oh, fair enough.
What are they bowling to? They just bowling
it's-
hand grenades.
It's just like most of the time it's just young kids or like retired old men, and they just bowl on the slot. So I go, okay, well, you're gonna bowl on the slot. You're going out.
Yeah, good call.
Yep.
Good call.
See, if I was able to do that, I would. But I haven't got the power.
That's all timing.
Well,
So
I
it's-
imagine you'd be power too.
No, I don't really. I'm genuine. I used to always swing out of my ass, but it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So I just all timing now.
It's all timing. Yeah.
Mm.
Hit along the ground. It's the best.
Did you get a bat on the weekend though?
Can't
Or
hit
was it
sixes.
2-out?
I hit 6s along the ground.
Oh, but it's class when
Hitting
you just.
6s
it's
is the
more-
best.
It's class
So
when you play a
You'd
lovely
ra-
shot.
You'd rather go over cover
Oh,
than
yes.
smack one through cover for a
it's
4.
not even a question.
I'd rather just lunge the front foot and just play a shot through covers that just
Or-
pierces the field.
Yeah,
and it's
but I'm
so
all an
good.
alpha.
Or the straight drive down the ground.
I've done that.
You know,
That's my
lovely.
favourite shot. When
That's
they bowl a
lovely.
full Yorker, the front
makes
foot's
sense
coming
going
out
along
and
the
it's along the ground.
Oh, I'm going to test your memory here. What's my shot?
Oh,
Remember
no,
Clyde?
What?
Remember-
For defence.
For a
The
nick-
clip off the pads, remember?
Clip off
through
the
slip.
pad.
Remember that? Clip
You
off,
clipped it onto your pad.
clipped off the pads, mate. You guys kept bowling it then. I'll just
Unbelievable. That
see you
was an
later.
unbelievable day.
Oh, and the game before.
Trent,
that.
you were telling me at the meetup you're a 360-degree player.
Oh!
I am a 360-degree player.
I reckon you could hold a stick.
No, I've got all right. I had one hit this year. I
When
think I
was
got 19 or
this?
20.
I didn't witness this.
Yeah.
Got 19 or 20.
Oh.
This year, I've had one hit.
Lord, oh Lord.
In every quadrant too.
Reuben's spilling the
Oh,
tea.
God, that's
Well, it's lucky I haven't.
360.
It's lucky I haven't showed him my trophy collection of bowling. But anyways, move on from that. But was there anything else you guys wanted to touch on?
no.
Oh, actually, I don't reckon Tricky and I had the chance when we came down to
Here we go.
SportsGrad. I just wanted to say thank you because it was a really, really good night. Got to meet the 3 guests that you had. I can't remember their names. We had a discussion about it earlier today, and I couldn't remember their names. And yeah, it was a fantastic day. I just wanted to say thank you for organising that day. And someone got stuck into the tappets the whole day.
2. I had 1 or 2.
You had
Oh.
about
1 or
60.
2.
The way Holty describes it is
I-
tricky.
I-
Was just
do you-
munching down the
You
finger
know
food.
what he's like? He talks out of his ass for a
No, I
living.
would never would say that.
Left that. It's like, good God, I'm good at talking out my ass.
But it was just an awesome train home ride as well. Like it was fantastic. We both got a kebab each, Reuben,
Yeah, someone's
afterwards.
so excited he threw it.
And someone didn't like the kebab, or he must have because he gnawed on the first half, like
Oh.
without
He was
Without
probably
even
from the
breathing.
finger food though.
and just decided to just not wrap it up or put it away. Like he just full on just put it on the floor of the train. And every time the train moved forward, the weight distribution, all the garlic sauce went down the train.
Talking so much garbage here.
God.
Garbage.
Oh.
Trent, you can't be doing that, mate.
No!
Now Mikey's trying to be after you. The bloody Peterson is going to be left front looking for.
I've learned
Jokes for Babs.
I've learned one thing though. I hate champagne.
That wasn't. I don't mind champagne.
I didn't. Yeah.
I
Do you
did.
remember we had that on video when I first did it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't love it either.
No.
Yeah, but I did. Reuben had one of these drinks, but I can't remember what it was called. But it was these. I don't know what kind of beer it was, but that was really good. I don't know what it was. Was it? Oh, it might have been a light beer.
Oh, I think it might have been a single fin.
It was. Yes,
Ah, the
that's
old
it.
I get the feeling that
I really enjoyed that.
Centerpiece was
Yeah, one of them.
stocking the single fin,
had a
which is
few.
a Western Australian beer.
Yeah.
Well, she had a few of them,
Yeah, a
and then
few.
proceeded to drive me home. Yeah, cheers, mate.
Oh, he's on his screen. Big roads. Here we go.
No, but that'll probably do that wrap it up.
Well,
I'd like to thank
You
Reuben.
need to fill out the feedback form so that we can provide Savlakis at the next one. Therefore, Trent
Oh!
doesn't have to take his wrappers on the train.
I would not be against it.
Oh,
Would not be against it.
what kind of finger food was there?
Who was the fellow we were talking to at the end? Aaron, wasn't it?
Aaron, yeah.
Champion
What'd you
data.
call him?
I called him Mark for some reason. I don't know why I called him Mark. And
I don't go.
I when you message it all, I go, who the fuck's Mark?
and we spoke to Aaron, and legit, it was the waiters coming out every 5 minutes, and Tricky's head was the only head in the circle
Oh.
talking to Aaron. That was the opposite way because he was looking for the tappers the whole time, and I could see Mark. Oh, not Mark again. I did it again. Aaron beat his eyes at Tricky, going, "Yeah, he's after the tappers again."
What's a hungry boy?
Nah, but thanks very much, Reuben. That was a very
Oh, mate, I think the ticket was. No, thank
Sorry?
you. Glad you guys could come along, and glad that Trent has also made that commitment that you guys will be there in Paris. So we look forward to seeing you at the next one.
Yeah, as long as he's paying for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you want to plug all your socials before we let you go?
Oh yeah, probably should do that. What have we got? SportsGrad is the name of our stuff. We've got a podcast. Find that wherever you listen to podcasts. Instagram, LinkedIn's another big one. Twitter, YouTube as well. So if you're interested in podcast interviews with people in the sports industry, look us up.
All right, thank you for coming on, Reuben, and we really enjoyed this. And good luck with the podcast and the rest of. I guess we'll see you in Paris
Yeah.
next year.
Thanks, Trent.